1840, 1 mile below Bryantsville on the Lexington Pike in Girard County, Kentucky. I am almost 100 years old. I was owned by Briar M. Jones, who was from Hattiesburg, Kentucky, and his wife, Miss Patsy. Yeah. Now, my father, he was Daniel Scott, and he was a slave who was out of the Moat Scott's slave family. And my mother, you see, she was Amy Jones, and she was a slave, but she was from the Marsh Briar Jones family. I had brothers. My brothers were Harrison, Daniel, Marita, and Ned. And my sisters were Emma, Maria, Susie, and Myra. Emma, me, and my brother Ned, we ended up going with Richard Gano and his wife, Miss Martha Jane Welch, and that's right, everybody called her Maddie, you see, like I say, when they was married, it was in 1853, and those years were the Ganos, you see, they lived in Bourbon County, Kentucky, you see. That's where Richard Gano, he was a doctor, and that's about right. Yeah, that's about right. Mm-hmm. It's the early years in Kentucky when I started, excuse me, baby, living with the Ganos. I remember some things, you see. I remember some things well, like I remember when I was 7 years old, the Mrs. Gano took me to Bourbon County. Now, when we got to Lexington, I tried. I tried to run back to Bryantsville, you see, where my mammy was. But Master Gano, he told me, he said, now look, if I didn't come on back, that the sheriff was going to get me. And I tell you, I never liked going to Lexington, Kentucky again after that. Then another day, the missus told her brother Sam to whoop me, you see. Every time he hit me, I hit him because I wasn't feared then, you see. I didn't know any better. Me and the missus was going to a neighbor's house one day in a sleigh with her baby John. Now he was wrapped up in comfort and he slipped out. So I said, Lord, Mrs. Oh Lord, what you lost that baby? She said, no, I haven't. That's what the missus said. We stopped. We shook the comfort and no John. John was gone. I said, oh, ain't that awful, Miss Matt? Oh, ain't that awful, Miss Matt? We went back and found him a mile behind. '57, the Ganos moved to Texas. That's right. Mm-hmm. Like I say, there was they moved to Tarrant County, Texas, with the two oldest sons. So General Gano, well, he took Myra, he took Emma, he took Ned, and he took me. And like I said, we went to Tarrant County, Texas. You see, we went to a town We went to a town that was called Lick Skillet. Lick Skillet. And Grapevine. So Lick Skillet and then Grapevine, you see, that was the name of the white folks' house. It was called Grapevine. And I remember it was called Grapevine because in Texas now, the house had grapevines that was twined around the house and up on the arbors. Now, my sister Emma, she was the cook. And Myra and I, we were the housemaids, and we tended to the children. My brother Ned, he eventually married a girl named Bessie Estill, and she was a slave who cooked for the Estill family. You see, and she lived by not too far away, pretty nearby, and eventually. Mr. Estill bought Ned. Life on the Gano farm in Texas. Well, the house that we stayed in, it was a big old white house, you see. Like I say, it had these two long porches, and there was about 300 acres of land. Now, we didn't have a whole lot of slaves, so we didn't have no overseer, and we had no driver. The slaves, we was waked up by General Gano, and what he would do is he would ring this big old bell every morning, dong, 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 and that's how we got up, you see, about 4 times every morning. And then we didn't have no jail, on the place. There was no jail, and I'm gonna tell you, I never ever saw anybody, not one slave whipped, and I never saw anybody who was auctioned off. I didn't sleep in the cabins with the rest of the Negroes. I slept in the big house, so I can tend, to the children and stuff like that. And my food was the same as what the white folks ate. Now, in the summertime, you see, we wore cotton, and we wore linsey in the wintertime. Now, the white folks, they took me to church on Sunday, dressed me well, and I had good shoes. My master, he was a preacher and a doctor, and he was a fine man, you see. And Miss Pat, she was hard to beat. At Christmas time and at New Year's, we had big old times. General Gano and Miss Matt, they would buy us candy and popcorn and firecrackers, just like all the stuff that the white folks. Now, I remember the funeral of Mr. Marion. Now, he lived between the big house and Lick Skillet. He was going to be buried in the cemetery at Lick Skillet, but the horse got scared and turned the spring wagon over, and the corpse fell out. The mourners, they had a hard time getting things straightened out, but they finally got him buried. Now, there was Miss Dickerson, too. She was a neighbor of General Gano's, and she used to have dances. And she wouldn't let the patty rollers come to her dances. And if they did come, she would get her pistol and she'd make them leave. A patty roller are the white men who rolled on the slave patrols. I certainly wouldn't want to have them in my dances either. Uh, the missus in this room taught all the slaves to read and to write while we sat on a bench in this dining room. And when the news came that we was free, General Gano took us all in this dining room and told us about it. We all started back to Kentucky, to Briar Jones's old place. We started in 2 covered wagons and an ambulance. And then when we got to Memphis, we got on a steamboat that was named Old Kentucky. When we left the boat, we got off in Georgetown. Then from there, we rode on a stagecoach to General Gano's brother's home in Scott County. Now, Maurice, who was the youngest then, held on to my plait of my hair all the way back. And General Gano brought 650 head of horses and sold all of them but his horse, Old Black. Now, I stayed with the Ganos to help with the cheering for a while. And then a little later, I met my husband, Harriet Mason. When we met and got married, I moved to Lancaster, Kentucky, and we had 9 children. And only 2 of them are living today. That's my baby girl, Lily, and my son, John. Now, my husband, Mr. Mason, he died in 1885, and I don't have no grandchildren. I live with my daughter, Lily, and we now live in Lancaster. Now, Lily has a college degree, and she's a teacher. She teaches the school and music here. So I think that if you want to live a good, long life, let me tell you, I joined the Methodist Church when the cholera epidemic broke out in Lancaster in 1878. Now, the preacher was Brother Silas Crawford, and I was baptized in a pond on Creamery Street. And I think that people ought to be religious because they live better and they love people more. And living by that, it has worked well for me.